This week in CIST 2531, we'll look at Chapter 13, Exploring Creative Uses of Effects and Graphic Styles. In this lesson, we're going to look at the Appearance panel, how to edit and apply appearance or with the Appearance panel, how to duplicate, enable, disable, and remove appearance attributes, reorder those appearance attributes. We'll look at a way to apply and edit a variety of effects. We'll look at ways to save and apply an appearance as a graphic style, adding a graphic style to a layer, and also how to scale strokes and effects. All right, first we'll start off with, this is what your starting document will look like. Then once you're finished, your document should look like this. We'll start by looking at the Appearance panel. In the Appearance panel, we found under the properties. First, we're going to make our selection using the selection tool. And we're going to select the background here. And we'll see that we have our appearance now field. Comes in here. A couple of things with the appearance. You'll have your fill that you can change, your stroke, your opacity. Also, any special effects that will be applied here under the FX button. So you can apply special effects. You also see that a drop shadow is applied. Then you have this three dots down here that open your appearance panel. Okay, in the appearance panel, this also gives you access to the same attributes: the stroke, the fill, the drop shadow, the opacity or the FX. Some other options you have in here. You have the option to, first you have your selected artwork and thumbnail, be located here. You have an attribute rows. They'll have the attributes for the appearance. The eyeballs, the visibility column, so you can turn off the effects, the visibility of the effects. Down at the bottom, first you have the FX over here. That's going to indicate that a special effect is applied. At the bottom, you had an add a new stroke, add a new fill. You can add a new effect. This will let you clear the appearances, duplicate selected items, or delete selected items. So with this, you can edit the attributes. For example, if I want to change the fill color, I can use the drop-down menu and choose a different color. I also have different swatches that I can load. I've got a color themes panel I can open up for the Adobe color themes if that's been set up. I can add swatches and color groups. I can then show swatches kinds menu, swatch options, which will allow me to customize a swatch. I can then just open a new color group, create a new swatch, or delete a swatch. So when I apply a swatch, I make the selection and you see that it is applied. I can double click that swatch and it also gives me the ability then to change options in here in my swatch option as well. Close this here. All right, so I've changed my fill. You see that it changes here. Now, once again, I can just double click the fill options here, and I can change the swatch options. I can go to the color mixer. I can actually switch to the actual CMYK, for example, in this, or choose a different color options such as RGB or HSB with this options as well. Going back to the appearance menu, I can add new options for this new attributes. Also, right now I have the fill selected. If I come down to the add button, this will let me add another fill. As you see, it's been applied here. So I'll make these changes to the color, and you'll see that it is applied again. So it's going to apply a new fill. It's going to be above the location of the last one. And fill is not the only thing I can do at this. I can add new strokes. Let me go to the text here. So with the text selected, I can add, for example, I want to add a 4-point stroke to this, and I can add another stroke. So I'm going to make the bottom stroke 5. And I'm going to change the color of that bottom stroke. Let's change it to blue. Now when I zoom in, on this, let's change the weight to this to 3. And change the opacity. All right, so now that we're zoomed in where we can see this, I may have zoomed in a little bit too close to where I can't see if I've selected this. So let me zoom back out. So we got our stroke set for this. We're going to adjust the fill. Make these on the top of a new layer. Let me deselect everything and we'll start on the show. So I'm going to adjust the stroke on the show. So by using this, you'll see with the selection tool that I have adjusted the stroke color on this. You see that even though these are still in the same layer, here you see that I can add different attributes to the text. I can also come in and further edit this as needed as well. All right, so there's a lot of things you can do with your appearance. If I need to reorder the appearance, let me back out of this and start over on this. So with this, I can, once again, add new attributes to this. You'll see that I've now got 2 strokes in. So I'm going to add one. I'm going to make it a drastic stroke in a different color. So by adding multiple attributes, you see that now that, for example, the background is now got 2 different borders around it by using the 2 different colors of stroke. Go back to my starting document. One thing on that as well, let me go back and do that one more time. So add another stroke. And I'm going to make these different colors. Okay, I can reorder these as well. So I can click and drag these to reorder the strokes as I need. As you see now, I've hidden the second stroke because it is smaller than the one above it. I can turn off the visibility of the strokes. Now, if I wanted to edit an attribute, there's a couple ways I can do this. First, within the appearance panel, I can just click on the attribute and edit these. I can also click on the name of the attribute, which gives me more options, so I can get a little bit more in depth on my editing for these. I can add special effects. So by selecting a banner, for example, I can come to the FX. In here, I can add different attributes for my images. For example, I want to add a drop shadow. First, let me change this background color real quick. So I'm just going to change it to something that'll allow this attribute to show up. So if I want to add a drop shadow, for example, to this, you'll see that I have a drop shadow. It brings up my drop shadow box. I can edit options here. I can change the opacities, the XY offset, blur. These settings right here are what will be in your project. I'm going to make some changes on these. We'll set this 18, 29. All right, so I've made some changes to those settings for that drop shadow. Now, if I need to go back and edit that, a couple things when I'm editing the special effects, I can click the drop shadow name and it will bring up the drop shadow dialog box. If I go to the FX and back to drop shadow, see, it's going to tell me now that it's already has it applied. That if I make this changes, it's going to replace the one I have on there. So if I click the add new effects, add the new effect, you'll see that it's been applied here and it applies those changes. Then I can make changes as needed here. But it's going to put up my last changes I've made. And it'll save those settings in this when I apply the new one. If I see the eye here, it tells me that I've got multiple effects applied and that I will need to go to the appearance panel to edit those. And once again, once I get to the appearance panel, I can click the name of the effect and it brings up that effect that's been applied. To remove it, I would simply choose the effect and click the trash can. All right, so you can also use live effects. We've got two types of effects in Illustrator. We got vector effects and raster effects. Vector effects are Illustrator effects. Okay, that's what's going to be covered at the top half. Of our list. And at the bottom, we have our raster effects. These are our Photoshop effects. These are things that you've used in Web Graphics 1, effects that you should be familiar with. This will bring up your effects dialog box where you can make more modifications, or you can choose different types of effects to apply to your image. And you click OK and it applies that effect. So you can still use the Photoshop effects. Once again, you do have Illustrator effects as well, such as the warp text, for example. If I needed to warp the text, this will bring up my warp options. I can then here choose the different settings. I'm going to leave these as default and click OK. Apply those settings. Now, if I need to edit those, once again, I've got the option here to click this name of the effect. I can make changes here. I can go back to the appearance panel and it brings up the effects that's been applied. Then I can make the changes there as well. Or if I go back to this option, choose the effect, I can make changes here. Easiest way to do this, though, is going to be through your appearance panel. Now, I can apply more than one effect. For example, if I want to do a distort on this, I can then apply that effect as well. You see it's been applied to my appearance panel. Graphical styles, you can access this panel by going to Windows and then the graphic styles. It's going to bring up your graphic style window. These are your style thumbnails. You have your libraries located down here. This is your break link to graphic styles. You create a new graphic style, or you can delete a graphic style. Now, what a graphic style is, it's a set of saved appearance attributes that allows you to reuse those, and it's something you can reuse fairly quickly. So if I'm going to add a library, I can come down, I can choose the different options. You see that it's being added to my graphic styles from my library. So that's been added, and I can quickly just click on these and add the style in. Once again, I do have the appearance options here that allow me to come in and edit this a little bit. If I go to my appearance, I do have options in here I can change for this. For example, the fill. All this can be changed to edit the style. You'll see that it's now been updated. Graphic styles, I can also click the plus button. It's going to add the graphic style of what I have selected. So now I've created a new style. When I double click this, I can then name that style. Same with the other ones. I can double click and you'll see the name of the style, or I can change that if I need to. I'd also click the menu and I can choose new graphic style. I can duplicate a graphic style. I can break the link to a graphic style and so forth with these other options in here as well. Lastly, we're going to look at how to scale strokes and effects, and we're going to look at this down here at the bottom. with this option here. First, let me deselect everything. And then we're going to work with this down here. Now you see that right now I have everything selected. So if I want to double click this, I want to enter isolation mode. With this, you'll see that my stroke is now 36 points. Now, if I don't want to change that, I want to keep the stroke weight at 36 points. I'm going to exit out of this isolation mode. I can go to Window, and I have a Transform panel. It's going to bring up, it's going to give my X and Y coordinates, my width and height, angles, and also the shear listed here. You'll notice at the bottom I have a scale corners and a scale strokes and effects. You want to make sure that this option is selected when you're trying to scale the stroke. So with this selection, so when you scale the artwork, it's not going to affect the stroke weight. Okay, so it's going to scale smaller. I want to hold down the Shift key. As I drag this, you'll see that it is now adjusting the entire image. Okay, so when I click this again, you'll see that my stroke is going to be the same proportion in this. So this has been changed, but it's keeping the same proportions for the size of the image with this.